you guys should be able to see my screen now.
Yes, we do.
Yes, we do.
Okay, perfect. I'll just upload the data set here.
Yes.
And Pallav, you are good to go for that. Okay, just give me a
Okay.
minute.
Yeah. Maybe I will explain just so gradually we can do the parts.
Yeah, sure. Please go ahead.
Yeah, so over here, first we need to import the libraries. Like before starting this class, I would like to say that at least everyone should have a basic knowledge of Python for implementing various models. You should be aware about NumPy, Pandas, how data frame works, how Matplotlib works, how Seaborn and all, and even sklearns and all. So that's the basic requirement. Apart from that, yep. So we will be importing NumPy, then Matplotlib. Even we can import Seaborn as well. Can you do that for me? So yeah.
May I add something to this, Pallav, if you don't mind?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So apart from these libraries, we have one of the famous library, if anyone knows about it or not, but there is PyForest, which is very much useful to have a collective data of all the libraries in one particular library called PyForest. So usually to speed up the things, PyForest is what I usually prefer. So I'm just explaining that in order to implement PyForest, we'll come back to that at a later stage. Should I run this, Pallav?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Like simultaneously, I'm trying to restart my computer laptop.
No worries, no worries. You can definitely have my PC. Yeah. So go ahead.
So yeah. So after that, you have to import the data set. So for importing data set, we use Pandas. So and we will be using a variable named data set over there. We will be importing the Excel or say the CSV file. So here you can see can you show how you have added that file, the CSV file? You just added, right? So where you need, this is a yeah, we are using Colabs from Google. So
Yeah.
in Colab, yeah, just the way you added it, right? Just show that first. Just yeah.
Yeah. So there is this option on the right hand side. You click on it, and we can add it for the session. Upload to session storage. Okay. So I just click on it, and I get the option on my screen to select the file or data set that I need to upload. So I selected that data set, and I have just uploaded it right now. Okay. So after this has been uploaded, I need to just copy the path and then paste it here. This is what I have done here. I can just remove it and I can paste it again.
So so that's all. Then after that, what do you do is like some basic checking EDS, some basic EDS. It's very basic. So maybe we can check the header of the data. So you can type it as Soham dataset.head. Can you type it for me? So this would get us the top 5 data points. Good news for you guys. I could restore my laptop. I will be joining in a short while.
Yeah. So the data set is very small. I'm sharing that data set on this file over here. on the chat. If you guys want to, work along with us, you can definitely do that also. Yeah. So in the chat, I have shared this data set. If you guys want to, upload
Yeah.
this on your end, you can definitely do that also, and we can work along. This will not take lot of time. You guys can definitely work along with us. So we'll be sharing this. We'll do some basic ED and then we'll proceed to model building. Okay. Do let us know if you guys are working along or you would like us to continue with the part, and you can watch it and do it later. If you guys can work it along, that is also perfect.
Yeah. Guys, I can share my screen now. You can stop sharing. So,
Okay. Vallabh, mute from your laptop.
Some disturbance on your side. Vallabh.
Yeah. Yep, Vallabh, I think you should be able to share your screen now.
okay. Just give me 1 minute.
Satish, I have already shared the data set right now. Can you just confirm if you have received it? Okay, perfect. You guys can upload this data set at your end.
Yeah.
On the Google Colab also, and you can definitely work along.
Okay. Just let me know once you see my screen.
Yeah, we can see your.
Yeah, we can see your screen now.
Yeah, we can see
Okay.
it now.
Oh, finally.
Go ahead. Thank you.
Yeah, so you guys are ready. Have you guys, like, it's good, like, if you do along with me, that would be better. In the before, we told you about like how to import libraries. So gradually you will know yourself like how which all libraries are used for what. So we will be importing NumPy, Matplotlib, Pandas, and Seaborn. As of now, there are other libraries which you can see on the later part. Okay. So here, let me upload my, yeah, it's already uploaded. So it's salary data. So now, after that, let me run this part. Yeah. So now what we do is like we will be adding the data, we will be uploading the data set, that is salary underscore data.csv. So then after that, like we will see the top 5 data points of our CSV file. So for that we use head method. So as you can see, there are 5 data points which you can see. Even you can like see 10 data points or 2 data points like that. So if you put as 10, you will be seeing as 10 data points. So then after that, you can see info, like info, the dataset.info. With this, you can see the data types of our columns, the independent and dependent variables. Then then you can see the describe function over here. This describe is the 5-number summary. So it helps in like detecting outliers detection. So in this data set, there won't be much because we're just using 2 columns. So there are other data sets where like you might get outliers and all. So Okay. So after that, like this command, like dataset dot is NA or is null, you can even type it as is null. So over here, you can see if there are any null values. Yeah. So that's all, that's the basic EDA. Then after that, like we need to check, it's very important to check this. We need to check the linearity. Okay, as I've told you yesterday, the various assumptions. The linearity is the main I mean, the important thing you should check to apply linear regression to your data set. Okay, so how you can do that is by using Seaborn. So Seaborn dot lm plot would give us the linearity. This is the command to check the linearity of our data, means independent and dependent variable. Okay. So after that, this is not important, but then because in our data set, this is not important. We don't have to check the correlations. But then there are other data sets where you have multiple independent variables. In that case, you should find out the correlations to check the multi-collinearity. Okay, so this is very important because there can be situations where two independent variables can be highly correlated. So then in that case, you have to drop maybe one of those columns to get a perfect model. Okay, so just for learning purpose, I have shown you this, guys. So this is the command to get the correlation, and then I have plotted a heat map to check. Okay, but then this is not useful in two variables. It is useful in multiple when there are multiple columns, where there are multiple independent variables. Nice. So is there any questions till now? Are there any questions? Are you guys following? Like it says how to access this website. Yeah, I just type collabs collab.research.google.com. I will be sharing you this file on Slack later on after I finish. So, but then you can upload this. You can follow with me. Okay. The Srishti, which part you have missed? Can you tell me? Like, do you need me to scroll up?
Yes, Padmini. Pallab can definitely explain this part.
Padmini says what? Describe.
To explain the heat map part, the correlation part.
No, I think she wants to know the 5-number summary, right? Okay. Okay, fine. Let me explain the describe part for Padmini, then I will start from the beginning. Okay. So, yeah, so describe part is like you will get this is the 5-number summary, you can say, where like how your data is distributed, like in 25% how your data is distributed, in within 50% how your data is distributed, so beyond 75% how your data is distributed. That's what it helps. Even it says how what is the count and then the mean. So that's what. And the max values, what is the max values of our data set or not. And even the standard deviation as well. We'll get the standard deviation. Yep. Are you clear, Padmini? See, actually, this is not the EDA part. Actually, I'm basically focusing on the machine learning part. So I was just doing a basic EDA part. So maybe later on we can get into it, or maybe I can do a proper EDA data set and then I can show you later on and post it on Slack. Okay, let me do the machine learning part today because of the time constraint. Is that okay? Yes, you can actually, you can check outliers. Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
Pallav, maybe you can just scroll up better and just restart this same thing, and so that Srishti
Yeah.
can follow along.
Sure. So yep, so starting with like you have to first import the libraries. So NumPy, Pandas, Seaborn. Yeah, you can do that. You can import the libraries first. Do you want me to paste it over the chat? I can do that for you. Yeah. So this will help you in importing the libraries. Then after that, this command would help you in importing the data set. So using pandas. All right. Then after that, these are few basic EDA parts where you can check your data, how your data is distributed and all. So with the dataset.had command, why is plt.figure we use while we have Seaborn already? What is the main motto of this? So PLT is like both are used actually. Matplotlib and Seaborn are like used. Both are used in hand. There are few commands where you can like plot it on Matplotlib, and there are few commands with which you can do Seaborn. So that you have to go through. That's what I said. The pre-requirement. You have to know Seaborn and Matplotlib. Yeah, so yeah, so then the info where you can get you can know the data types, various data types. Okay, then after that data set.describe where you can get the 5-number summary. Then after that to check the null values, you can check with this command.
Yeah, Pallav, just explain this in a bit more depth, okay? The LM plot.
LM plot isn't okay. The SNS, that's what.
The linear,
Like,
yeah.
see, if I have to like explain all the plots now, that 1.5 hour won't be enough. So
Yeah,
that's why,
definitely. Just a
yeah,
bit, five minutes is sufficient enough. Then we can move on to the next part.
yeah, that's all.
Okay? Yeah, go ahead.
So yeah, so check the null values. So there is a type of, there is a kind of in Seaborn, there is a kind of plot, which is LM plot, with which you can like check the linearity between the dependent and independent variables. So that's the main motive of LM plot. Yeah.
Yeah, that should do. Let's move on to the next part.
Yeah, so like that's what like I'm just synchronizing that people are not following up their.
Yeah, if
So
anyone is facing any kind of doubt, do let us know.
so this will be like the command to I mean the line of code to check the linearity. Yeah. Then after that, you need to check the correlations. So this is, as I told you before, correlation for this data set is not important because we only have one independent variable. But if there are multiple independent variables, in that case, you have to check the correlations between the various independent variables, right? And then this would give you the heat map to check the correlation matrix. Yeah.
Pallav, while you're sharing the code on the chat,
Yeah.
just make the sender to be everyone. Right now, only host and panelists can see it.
Oh, is it?
No worries. You can carry on with that. I'll add the code for them.
Yeah, please do that. Or I can like, is it? We will share it on Slack. It's okay. Just after the class, we'll share it on Slack.
Yeah, yeah, perfect, perfect. No worries.
Yeah. So annotate. Yeah. So if you make annotate as follows. Sorry. So this is what it won't label. It won't label like what is the percentage. So that's the purpose of annotate. I think we got a live example. Meenakshi was asking what is the use of annotate. Then after that, you take the X and Y values. Okay, so this is very important. You distinguish between the X and the Y values. So over here we have used ilog function. So in this, we have used slicing. So the first one would be like the rows. So we will be taking the whole rows. So that's why we have put it as blank. And as you know that we have kept the start point as like null. I mean, we haven't put any number just because it will start from 0 and then it would go until the just before the last value. So that's why it says as -1 because we will be taking all the all the columns except the last column, that is the salary column. And then a y column, in y column, I mean y variable, you will put only the our target or the dependent variable, that is our salary. So therefore that we have used this ilog function to select only the salary column. All right. So after that, you have then you now have to split into two different set, that is train set and test set. Your data points have to be divided into two data sets because after training you should test. So just for you have to like split your data points into test and train data sets. Okay, so for doing that, what you do is like import sklearn train test split. Then after that, you take a variable that is xtrain, then xtest. Then after that, ytrain, ytest. Then in that you call the function that is train test split. Then over here you take the x values, then y value. Then here you will be splitting like on what percentage you split the test and the train size. So over here I have given test size equal to 0.3. That means our test size would be 0.7 and our test size would be 0.3. And random stat is like it will keep your the split like fixed. So that's the reason, because there can be a chances of data leakage. So for that reason, we have keep our test and the train set fixed. So for that we use random state. Okay. So if you want to see, you can check your string. they should get like it's saying as 21 hours total data set is 30, data points is 30, and we have 21 over here. Then X test dot shape would give that is 9. So this is split it into 0.30 and 70%. So that's the ratio, 70 is to 30. Now what you do is you now you fit fit your data into the training model. So for that you have to call the linear regression. So you have to import the library sklearn. From sklearn you have to import linear regression. Then you put the linear regression into a different variable, that is regressor, and then you fit your data, your trained data, into the model. So for that you use regressor.fit x underscore train comma y underscore train. Yes, we use value functions for dot values. You need to get the values, so not the index. So that's why we used dot values. Suram, right? Yeah. So now, so you can, I will ping you this. So this is the line of code to feed your data into the model, the train data set. Okay. Now after that, you need to get the predictive value. So that is like y pred is going to predict x test. With the help of x test, you get the y pred or the y hat, which you calculated yesterday. Yeah. So now after getting the pred value, now what we will do is we will visualize our prediction. Okay. Will we have access to this? Yes, I will share you on Slack. Don't worry about that. So for visualizing, we use Matplotlib. So we use first we use the scatter plot, where you have we have taken the test data set. Then after that we have plot the prediction line to get the best fit line. So that's, and then we have mentioned the title as salary versus experience. That's all. So this is the line of code to visualize your prediction. Okay. So is it so any questions till here? Uh, 30 seconds, then I will move to a different topic.
Yeah, Pallab, there was one question from I guess
From Shrishti.
from
It was
Srishti.
from Shrishti. She wants to know why you used values function with the iloc in the where you divided the data set before
Yeah.
that.
So that's the reason, right? I told you before, like we cannot get the index. We will be needing the values. So that's why dot values. We want only the values of the indexes.
Okay.
If you
Does that solve your issue, Shrishti? I think that should.
Okay, let's move to the next topic. Oh, Srishti, you cannot get the index to like, why will be needing the index to prediction? What you will do, you cannot do anything with the indexes, right? To predict your values, to fit, you cannot like fit your data uh, to the model with indexes. You need the values of those indexes. Then only you can fit it to your model. So that's the reason we need the values, not the indexes. Does this answer your question? Okay. So remember, you cannot feed your model with indexes. You need to feed values of that indexes. Then only it can predict. So yep, so this is the line. So this is with the help of matplotlib I have shown you. Then we can show it as well with the help of regression, which is very simple with Seaborn. So you just have to write to one line of code to get the regression line with Seaborn. So that simple it is. Okay. Now let's come to the evaluation matrix. So over here we will get like the intercept which I told you yesterday. So here we can find out the intercept of our best fit line, and even the coefficient. The intercept would be I think A0 according to our yesterday's equation, and coefficient would be our slope or M or A1 value. So that's what. Okay. So now this is actually the calculation over here. This is the actual values of our test data, the actual Y values of the test data, and the predicted value is our prediction values. So I just for showing you guys, I just converted this. Okay. Okay. Let's move to the next topic. Then after that, you can find how well trained your test and the trained data. So with the help of score, you can get it. So between X test and Y test, it's 96.98%. It's simple. You just have to put your model name, the model, and then you put score. Then over there, you just check your X test and Y test. So how well it's trained, and what is the prediction value of your train data, that is 95.2. So it's just a difference of I think 1%. So that's it's well trained, we can say. Okay. Now coming to R square. So you will get, this is a very important matrix. So R square you could get with just giving matrix dot R to, yeah. So one important thing before matrices, oh, I forgot to import that. No. Yeah. So yeah, I think it's running. So where did I import it? Never mind. So you just have to import your matrices library. So just you have to type import sklearn. Sorry, from sklearn import matrices. So this is very important. So this would get matrices. Okay. Yeah, Srishti, yes, you can do cross validation, but here I haven't gone through cross validations because of the complexity. You can do cross validation, yes. Score of module. So like you retrain it, you change your here it's not possible. We only have one independent variable. So you retrain your model, like change your independent variables. Maybe you drop checking the correlations and all. In that way, you can you can change your R2 scores or adjacent R2 scores. So that's all. Yes, you can check mean squared error as well. I can give you the code. I can share you the code as well for mean squared error. But I showed you R2 and adjacent R2 because these are important parameters. That's the reason. So yeah, so R2 score, that's the reason we are getting it as 96.98%. And then after that, this is for adjacent R2 square. R2. So here as the formula, according to the formula, that is 1 minus then R2 values. Then after that length, that is n minus 1. So the length of y test. So it would give us our n. What is the n value? Then again we have n values. So minus the prediction values, the number of variables. So that's why we use the shape of x test. Then after that minus 1. So this would give us 96.55. It won't be perfect because there are only single independent variable. So just the reason it's just a little difference. But then in case of multiple independent variables, you can see the differences. So yeah, that's all.
Yeah. Pallab, thank you so much. Can you also take up the questions that are there in the chat as well? I think mean square error is something that you can definitely show over here with the few lines of code. Is that possible for you?
Yes, sure. I will show you that. Mean squared word error won't get you a perfect here. But then let me see. We have already imported the which you say so import print. Good. So here it's actually the actual value. So the true value of y, that is you can say y. So here we have already converted it. So we'll put it as this actual value. So then the predicted value. So that value. So this okay, it's showing us much more. I don't know, maybe it's because, but this is the way you get the mean squared error. Okay. And to get the root mean square error, you have to put it as np dot square root. Just call the function. So this is how you get mean squared error, RMSE.
Yeah, I think that should answer.
Yeah.
Can you take up the question from Anvesh? What is the difference between R2 score and regressor score?
What does that mean? Like, can you elaborate, Anvesh? So score, like, yeah, okay, here. So this is actually the R2 score, which our evaluation matrices, and score is just the difference between what is the score when you like compare your X train and Y train. It's just the matrix. It's not just have to check with the X train and Y train actually. This is actually the R2 score which is the way according to the formula which we implemented. It differs a lot actually. For score, you just use the X train and Y train. And for R2 score, you use Y test and Y print. You're predicting with your actual y values. So Y test is your actual Y value. Then and Y print is the actual prediction value.
Yeah, does it answer your question, Anvesh? So, okay, let me just go through that. Okay, there was one question with Vishal, how to increase the score of modules. To increase the score, there are a lot of other ways that we can do. We have cross-validation, we have k-fold validation. So there are a lot of other validations that we can definitely do. There is boosting, bagging, and a lot of other techniques. But since the data set over here is very much low, the data points are like just 30. I think the values will not differ much, even if we boost it. I think 96 is very good score. So yeah, definitely that should answer you.
Yeah, and definitely because like we don't have to do much of EDAs over here because while doing a machine learning modeling, you have to do feature engineering and all, feature selection. So that's the very important thing. But then in our data set, there are not much thing like to do with feature engineering. So of course, we'll get 96%. It's like as I told you earlier, R2 score should be like any value nearer to 1. So 96 is good.
Yeah. There is another question from Padmini. How to decide random state while splitting the data?
It's just a number actually. Like you can even like give it as 0. Let me show you. Random state is just a number actually. You just have to fix your test and train data. So that's the reason. So where it's gone. So here you can put any number as you wish. Even you can put 0 and that would work.
Yeah, I believe Padmini, the reason why we take up the random state is you are selecting the model on a random basis. You are splitting up the model on a random state. Like if suppose it says 0 or if it's say 1 or 2 or those numbers, they decide how many sets you are going to select randomly, how many values or data points you are going to collect randomly. If it was said 42,
No.
that means the complete data set itself is of 30 data sets. So the 42 or 48 or any higher number than the the largest data set would not matter much.
No,
it would
actually,
collect on a
no. Let me explain properly. So random state, it's just a parameter actually, and in that parameter, the variable doesn't matter. It actually helps like while doing a test and train split without using random state. Each time you run your code, what it will do is every time it will split randomly in a different test size. Okay. So it will take different data points. So that would like lead to data leakage. So that's the reason we use random state. So when you use random state, that split, which it's done once, it won't change, because once it splits one time randomly, after that, if you use random state, that split won't change. So that's the reason we use random state, so that our train and test data set remains fixed. And the variable doesn't matter. It can be 0, it can be 2, it can be 1. It doesn't have to do anything with split, and doesn't have to do anything. You can put anything. So
I think that should answer you, Padmini. Yeah, thank you. Welcome.
anything else? Okay, yeah, but I just forgot. Actually, let me show like the yesterday's thing, the adjacent R square. So I got, it's actually 0.3, and yes, let me share my screen. Okay, actually you have to do again. Okay, what I will do is I will share this Excel sheet. I think yesterday's thing got deleted somehow. I don't know how. I think it was not saved in a computer, because again I have to find the R2 and the adjustant. So yeah, I can say that in the formula which it says the p value, right? So p value should be the number of independent variables. So in our case it's 1. So there can be different multiple independent variables. So it depends on that the p value changes. So for in our terms, it will be 1, because our independent value column is only 1. So that's what that is X. So and it would come to around 0.35. So does that answer? Any more questions?
I believe there is not much of the questions coming in, so I can share up our data set with all of you guys on the Slack today, and that consists of multiple linear regression. That states the multiple linear regression. You guys can definitely look into that. You don't need to do a lot of feature engineering or anything on that data set. It's a pretty simple one with 500 data points and 4 to 5 columns. That should help you guys to understand a bit about the multiple linear regression parts and how you can feature engineer it. If it is required, you definitely can explore the data set, but I don't think it will be required. You can definitely just utilize the model on it, and that should help you out. But there is a trick over there. I think I'll leave it up to you to figure it out. And I can definitely be in touch on the Slack. And I'll be sharing that data set right now on the Slack.
And yes, I have given the link for this Python file. So you can check it over there. I've shared with everyone, and then I've pinged it over the chat. So everyone can get the file. Yeah, you just have to import. I think you have to import the data set. So Soham, please like share the data set over the Slack.
Yeah,
Then,
I'll do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. In case if you can do one thing, Pallab, can you extract this IPYNB file and share it directly on the Slack?
Yeah, you need me to download. Okay, you can. I can do that. No problem. I can share it over Slack. I haven't shared the Excel sheet as well. So okay.
Yeah, so everyone can, model on their own and see the data set and explore it on their own.
Sure, I will share everything. I will share the presentation. I will share the Excel sheet which I used yesterday. Then I will share this Python file and even the data set. So is that perfect?
Yeah, that is completely fine.
Yeah.
So yeah, anything else from your end, Pallav? I can take up any of the questions if there are coming up.
So that's all for me. If
Okay,
anyone
perfect.
has any question on linear regression, they can ask me.
Yeah, sure. Audience, is up to you now. Participants, you can definitely ask any of the questions that you have with regards to your task, with regards to linear regression, or any of the code that you haven't understood on this part. I can ensure that Pallab can even explain you once again if required. But I think his explanation was pretty good and simple. So you guys should be able to code along. Shristi, have you been able to reach out till the last point? Okay, last one bridge is not shown. Yeah, we haven't taken that part because it would again take, say, maybe 1 hour, 2 hour more, and that would include a complete new session. Last one ridge. Apart from last one ridge, I think polynomial, or you can say multiple linear regression is also something that we haven't taken right now. Yeah, exactly, Bhargav. Thank you for that. We do that when there are more variables. Right now, the data set was very much simple. Yeah. So we are up for say 15 minutes more, and we are up to take up any of the questions that you guys have with regards to the code. And definitely, I think Pallav, you can also share your GitHub ID so that people can reach out and follow and see your projects that you have done. I think that should help everyone to get in touch with you through the GitHub also and see your code as well.
Sure, I will do that.
Yeah. Can you please explain more about test site and random state? Yeah. Pallav, would you like to take that question?
Test size and random state. Okay, sure.
Yeah.
So first comes to test size. Why we do the splitting, like test and train, right? So for training the data set, if you train your model with the whole data points, okay, so then what happen is like your model will already know like what is there in the data. So like when you have to test your model, then with what data points you would test, right? You won't have any data set. Like you should need a new data set to like check your models after training. So for that reason, we just split our data set into test and train. So like we will train the model with our train data set. Then after training, to test our model, if it's like fits well, we use the test data set. So that's the reason we split into test and test size. So that would even like have, it says there is a terminology called data leakage. So that's what the reason is. And in random state is like, as I explained before, once you split the test and test data size, okay. So after splitting, it will split for the first time. It will split random. When you run the your line of code, it will split randomly. There will be like different data set for train, and there will be a set of data set for test. Then after that, if you don't use random state, so next time, the second time you run, your train test would be, your 10 test data sets would be different, data points would be again different, because again it will split randomly, and then it would be different. The data sets would be different. It would even have data points from test data size, which you have splitted before. So that if that happens, there will be a data leakage. So data leakage as in like your model will already predict your test data size, so there won't be any reason like splitting them. right? So it would be same. So that's the reason you use random state. So random states helps in like fixing your test data set and the train data set. So does that answer? So to yeah, so to understand flatten, you have to go to basic EDAs as I told you. So,
Meenakshi, I'll send out to you one of the best, you can say, data science or best basic Python course that I think I did it from my end to understand a lot of stuff. I'll send out that to you, and that should explain why tuple flatten has been utilized in depth, because there are a lot of other things also that that comes in consideration. How do we check accuracy of the model, and how can we increase the accuracy score? What changes do we need to consider to do so?
do check the concept, how can you increase accuracy score?
Yeah, Parab, can you take up that question?
To consider to do so. Yeah, so like introduce, as I told you, like in our data set, there is only one independent variable. So yes, if there are multiple independent variables, and then if there are any like columns which are like highly correlated, then you can drop a column from there. Then again, you can test, you can fit your model, then maybe your scores will change. So that's what you retrain again. So that's the reason you have to do feature engineering for that to change the accuracy score. Yeah, PyForest. Yeah, go ahead. So it's
Yeah,
your
sorry.
topic. Yeah.
Yeah, it's something that I really like to answer.
Yeah.
So yeah, for PyForest, we have this code called pip install PyForest, and that consists of all the necessary libraries. That consist of you don't have to import pandas as PD. You don't have to import NumPy as NP. So there are 4 to 5 lines of code are collected in just one code. You just need to pip install and just then import. That's it. I think there are a lot of updates that are coming up for PyForest, and they are going to include the scikit-learn also on PyForest. So you don't have to separately import scikit-learn. Basically, PyForest is utilized when you are doing extensive coding. You can say 1,000 lines of code or 1,000 lines, 5,000 lines of code for building a lot of big models and big data and all. So at that point of time, PyForest is used. So definitely that PyForest is actually it was suggested to me by one of my friends who is in Google. So he just suggested that they utilize PyForest for a lot of basic stuff for EDA and all those stuff that they do, and for model building and all. So they utilize that. Okay. Do you want me to show it now? Okay, I think it will take only 5 minutes of time. I can show it now. Just 1 second. Are you going to teach us multivariable linear regression? Anvesh, unfortunately, we are not going to take up that point as of now.
It's the same
because
thing
I think-
actually, Anvesh. You just have to take a data set with multiple independent variables and just implement what I showed you. So it's the same. It's not much difference.
Okay, guys, do let me know if you are able to see my screen. I'll show it from the
Yeah,
start.
so we are able to see your screen.
Okay, perfect. So instead of writing all of this, what we do is, what I usually prefer is, and I run the file, that particular line. Okay, so I have pip installed it and I have imported it. Okay, just 2 lines of code. Now I can go ahead and directly start the code. Df is equal to pd dot read csv into the file name. What is it? Startup. And that's it. I think I can put up df.head. There it is. The answer is there. Okay. So I didn't require to, import again and again all those things. It just worked out in 2 lines of code. Pip install PyForest and import PyForest. After this, I can, even directly write up some Seaborn library also, sns dot bar plot into x comma y, or I can say df. I don't know, maybe that should work. Yeah, but definitely you can do this on your part also. Currently, the updates that are available on PyForest does not include scikit-learn, I think so. But within a couple of months, there should be an update as per their official, PyPy page. I can show you that also. Okay, so yeah, definitely you can, plot anything into this, or give any kind of x and y axis and anything that can be given on that. You have any page of that or link? Can you share that? Okay, sure. 1 second. Yes, Shristi, I can do that also. 1 second. I'll just share this PyForest link over there, and it should help you guys. So yeah, see this. Okay, so there are yes, see, I think it's there. Sometimes you may even need to look up exact statements. So I think scikit-learn is also available on that. So you just need to install and import. I think I can give it a try for the scikit-learn also directly. Yeah, I know it is, because my friend did tell me that it is very much easier using this part. Oh, this should have been your homework, but no worries. I think I can give it to you now. This was supposed to be a homework actually. I was working on giving it to you directly, but I think yeah, this should work out. Okay, if I just run this file, it should definitely run. Thank you, Anvesh. I know, I'm awesome. Okay, so with this, Shrishti, you can definitely explore it. You can plot those things easily. If I can just definitely, go ahead and plot some of the part and show it to you. Okay, what do I plot? Plot dot, what else things we can use? Yeah, if someday, if you are going to, you don't need to remember all these codes. That is completely available on Google. So I would actually suggest, if you know something, that is fine. But if you don't know, you don't need to remember it. You can prepare your own cheat sheet or something for yourself, and you can definitely explore it by yourself also. And yeah, when you are going for some kind of interviews or something like that, don't open up this in their front and show it to them. So there is this cheat sheet, matplotlib cheat sheet that I usually prefer. This is what I wanted to show you guys. That yeah, matplotlib cheat sheets is available. You can download that at your end and refer to it at any point of time. You see this? Everything is available. You can just go to it, refer to it, and explore it. What was this? Yeah, see this. Everything is available. All the codes, everything is available. So at any point of time, even if you are a data analyst or data scientist at some point of time in your life, even then you don't need, even if you don't remember, that is fine. But I think by practice, you will definitely be able to, get a hands-on experience on all of this thing. But if you don't worry, you can just go to Google and explore it. Okay, so that should help you guys. Maybe I can just give it a try for boxplot. Maybe. What I can give is data equal to BF. And I can take up, I can just run up this code and see what comes up. Yeah, X is missing. So that should include, say, state. Okay, for this value, I think I'll have to go up and check it out. Okay, so the integers are missing. I can put up maybe administration. Now this should give something. Yeah, there it is. Okay, so I think that should explain all of you guys that PyForest is much more easier by 2 lines of code. That was the main purpose of me sharing the screen. So I guess if you guys have any kind of doubt on this, you can definitely reach out to us. I'll share up this file with you on the Slack, and you can definitely explore it and do some EDA on it. Explore PyForest for sure. Okay, and that should help a lot of you. I think we are up for 5 minutes more, and we can take up some questions if you definitely want to ask. Okay, so no questions so far. I think we were much more easily explainable. Thank you so much, Pallab, to explain so easily that nobody has any of the questions. I think everyone understood everything.
Or maybe they haven't understood it. So that is both the reason.
Yeah, possible, but I think maybe 1 second, I can share something else also. Is active list. Okay, so this is how you can explore it. Okay, wow, I didn't know that. Okay, so this pip list has all the pip file that you can install and run and see how it comes up with PyForest. After installing the PyForest, these are all the libraries that are available in PyForest. And if you want to see some active library, I think it's given here how to see the active library. It should be there somewhere. Yeah, active imports. Wow. So you can utilize this particular code to see what all libraries are currently active. That's a lot. I didn't know that they have already updated it, but yeah, I think see this. Does this help you guys? Maybe, I think so. That you don't need to import everything now and then. You can definitely just go ahead and import it. Great, I think this should help you guys to learn easily rather than importing every time. So thank you, Anu, for helping it out. Yeah, I know you installed it already. Great, great. Yeah, so we are up for 2 minutes more. If you have any more questions, you can definitely let us know. Yeah, Vishal, Piplis was the list of already installed packages, so I could only import it directly. So this PyForest usually is required, when you are using some other kind of IDE. You can say Anaconda, or if you're using PyCharm, if you're using Jupyter Notebook, or if you're using say Eclipse on this one on MacBook. So in those cases, installing the PyForest does help you out. So if you are already working on Colab, it is not much more required. You can just directly import and see. But yeah, if it is required when you are not working on Colab or say pre-installed files. So in those cases, this will definitely help you guys. Okay. So yeah. Thank you all of you. I think that is all from our end. If you have any kind of doubts, again and again, we are always available on Slack channel directly. I think you already are in touch with me. A lot of people are directly in touch with me. You can reach out to Pallav, reach out to Anugna, you can reach out to Vivek. There is Namita, there is Promit also. So you can reach out to any of us with regards to any kind of doubt you have. You can reach out to support channel for the platform access if you are having any kind of doubts on that on Newton AI's platform. So you guys can definitely go ahead and just ask anyone anything. Okay, so we are always available to help you guys. Thank you, Anvesh. Thank you so much that you found it very helpful.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you everybody. We'll see you in some days, in the coming days. I did forget to share the
Tomorrow.
Yeah, tomorrow, definitely. From tomorrow onwards, you have a lot of, from tomorrow onwards, you'll be covering up the classification part. And we'll be covering only the classification part, not the regressor kind of part for the classifications. Okay. Thank you everyone. Thank you. Have a great day. Bye-bye. See you guys. Be in touch. Take care. Thank you, Meenakshi. Thank you, Padmini. Thank you, Anas. Thank you, Machela. Have a great day. Thank you, Urjit. Thank you, Shrishti. Thanks, Ruksha. Thank you, Anvesh. Thank you, Richa. I'm there, don't worry. I'll be there. So yeah. Bye-bye. Thank you so much. Have a great day.